Not folding their arms, authors and other creative minds in Nigeria come together at different times to organize various events such as book festivals and book reading sessions to promote creative writing and improve the reading culture.
Look, she says, and touches my hand from across the table. I know this cremation thing is difficult. I can't even begin to imagine it myself. When we are not Hindus, a dead person should go in the ground. She pats the table again. But you know what? That is what your mother wanted. Don't be so hard on Mr. Siva. Do you know how much easier my life in this country would have been if I had found a man like him?
What we set out to do is to ensure that the book is in the face of a potential reader. That the book gradually becomes a staple in the mind of Nigerians, in their face, to put the book in their face, so that the ideas that are contained in the book becomes some kind of food that you have to chew on. Because as they say, when you read a book, you travel. You read a book about China, that means I've been to China, imaginatively. That's what we wanted to do when we set out to do this, and to actually put some kind of valorization on the work of the writer, on the work of the artist.
It's just about organization. If you go from one university to another, from one secondary school to another, there are so many creative students who are out there, but we possibly need much more resources to be able to get to them. I would want to compare what is happening in the creative industry to what happens in soccer. When you look at soccer, sometimes you discover talent by accident because the scouting network is not very strong. But when you look at, you have to commend people who are organizing events like this, because it's not as if they have unlimited resources. It's not as if they have some form of sponsorship that is good enough. So maybe what I think is if we can push for legislations, that will enforce the government, the states, the federal, to always budget certain percentage of the annual budget. Certain percentage should be devoted to the arts. It's a right. Now,
a few professionals from diverse fields have also come together to form reading clubs. They read different books by Nigerian writers and share their perspectives. They see this as intellectually beneficial.
It's been really interesting. For example, I'm a lazy reader. I do not like to read books, but the book club has taught me how to read books, because I know I'm going to discuss this book with a group of people, so I need to read this book. It has opened my mind. And normally I read maybe just motivational books, but now I read fiction, I read different types of books. It has opened, I travel when I read. I've learned a lot reading books.
So you read a book on your own, you enjoy the book, but you don't have anyone to discuss it with, and you come together as a group, and people start talking about the book, and sometimes you are wondering, are we talking about the same book? Because people are coming at the book from perspectives that you did not even think about while you are reading the book, and then somebody says something that agrees with what you read, and the discussion just goes on from there, and it becomes quite interesting.
Readers are leaders, that's the truth. But unfortunately, we have found out that so many people are not reading anymore. And I came in, dragged my wife in and my daughter who is in school now, I dragged them in to read. And so nice.
Even though authors and publishers have to deal with issues of low book sales, royalties not rolling in as it should, book piracy, and the new trend of digital publishing on the one hand, and the general society contending with other social and economic factors that may prevent them from giving attention to books on the other hand, stakeholders in the literary space agree that improving the reading culture in Nigeria and Nigerian literature involves a concerted effort by all.
Let us have more libraries. Let us have more bookstores. But before you're going to have more bookstores, before you're going to have more libraries. You have to train people how to read first. And reading culture will start from the crib. Reading to your kids, even when that kid doesn't understand what you are reading. It's just the sound. Okay, you want her to have, you want the child to have just a feel of what literature is all about.
How many parents now buy books for their children? And then you complain that children don't read. You haven't given them a chance to learn to read. So why do you worry about that? But that doesn't stop them from reading. They will read if they want to. And we should encourage them to do that. Maybe, I think Channels Television is doing that. You have many programs on books and things. Yes, these are ways to get people interested in reading. You should let your children use their imagination. They babble. They say things that are not, that you've never thought about. They will say, some of them even have imaginary friends or characters, and they talk about them. They talk to themselves. Let them talk about these things. They are developing their imagination. They are making something. Alice in Wonderland. Well, isn't that a stupid story? Somebody thought it up. Let your children do the same. Don't tell them to see things exactly as they are and repeat them and tell people exactly what they've seen. Let them imagine something different. Let them take off from that and do something different.
It's very important that we should write more for children than we're writing for adults. Like I've been advocating all these years. I tell people that when you don't write for children, who's going to grow up to read your books? When you're writing books for literary books, who are the people that will read your books when you don't write for children? Who are going to be your inventors when you don't have stories about things taking place in outer space, things taking place down beneath the earth? Who are going to be your inventors? Who are the ones that will design spacecrafts? Who are the ones that will invent new things when you don't have stories that will stir your children's imagination?
It is said that when you open a book, you open a new world. When last did you read a book? Answering this question honestly will let you know how much you're benefiting from the undeniable reward of reading, which includes a mental stimulation, stress reduction, and vocabulary expansion, among others. That's how we wrap up the program for this week. Do send your questions, comments, and contributions to any of our social media platforms showing on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I am Yomi Otayi.